In the bustling capital city of an unnamed African country, a powerful government official named Balta wielded significant influence. As the Minister of Finance, he was responsible for managing the nation's wealth, but behind his polished public persona lay a scandalous secret that would eventually unravel his career and reputation. Gonga was charismatic and charming, traits that endeared him to both his colleagues and the public. He had an aura of confidence that drew people in, making them feel special in his presence. However, beneath this facade lay a dark obsession and insatiable appetite for women. Over the years, Balta had engaged in affairs with over 400 women, many of whom were married to high-ranking officials, including his own colleagues. He reveled in the thrill of seduction, often boasting about his conquests in hushed tones among his inner circle. His escapades were not limited to single women. He had also been involved with pregnant women and even the wives of his brothers. Balta's disregard for relationships and commitment was shocking, but it was his reckless behavior engaging in unprotected encounters that raised eyebrows among those who knew him well. He often justified his actions by claiming that he was merely enjoying life, dismissing any concerns about the consequences of his actions. Balta's web of deceit extended beyond mere infidelity. He had cultivated a network of informants and accomplices who helped him maintain his double life. His charm allowed him to manipulate those around him, ensuring that whispers of his indiscretions remained buried beneath layers of political intrigue. He would often host lavish parties at exclusive venues where he could mingle with influential figures while discreetly pursuing his interests. As Balta continued to indulge in this reckless lifestyle, he simultaneously engaged in corrupt practices that would ultimately lead to his downfall. He was involved in money laundering schemes that siphoned funds from government projects into personal accounts. This illicit activity went unnoticed for years, hidden beneath the facade of a dedicated public servant. However, Balta's luck began to wane when law enforcement agencies launched an investigation into widespread corruption within the government. As they dug deeper, they uncovered evidence linking Balta to various financial crimes. Suspicions arose when large sums of money were traced back to shell companies connected to him. One fateful evening, as Balta returned home from yet another rendezvous with a young woman he had met at a gala, he was met by agents from the anti-corruption unit. They arrested him on charges of money laundering, but what followed would expose far more than financial misconduct. During the investigation, authorities seized Balta's phone as part of their search for evidence. What they found shocked even the most seasoned investigators: a trove of explicit videos and photographs documenting Balta's encounters with numerous women. Clips surfaced showing him with married women, some visibly pregnant, engaging in intimate activities without protection. These revelations sent shockwaves through the political landscape. The media quickly caught wind of the scandal, sensationalizing every detail as they painted a picture of a man who had abused his power for personal gratification. Headlines screamed about the Minister of Deceit, while social media exploded with outrage and disbelief. As details emerged about Balta's numerous affairs and his connections to high-ranking officials' wives, public outrage grew. The nation was gripped by scandal. Citizens felt betrayed by a leader who had not only engaged in corrupt practices, but had also disrespected the sanctity of marriage and family. Balta's colleagues distanced themselves from him, fearing the fallout would tarnish their own reputations. High-profile resignations followed as others implicated in Balta's schemes sought to distance themselves from the chaos he had created. The scandal divided public opinion. Some viewed Balta as a victim of political machinations, while others saw him as a symbol of everything wrong with leadership in their country. Protests erupted outside government buildings demanding accountability and justice for those wronged by Balta's actions. Activists rallied under banners proclaiming integrity over indulgence, calling for reforms that would prevent such abuses of power from occurring again. In response to mounting pressure, a special parliamentary committee was formed to investigate not only Balta's actions but also the broader culture within government that allowed such behavior to flourish unchecked. As testimonies poured in from former associates and victims alike, it became clear that Balta's actions were symptomatic of deeper issues within the political elite. The trial that followed became a spectacle, with evidence mounting against him, including testimonies from several women who came forward. Balta faced severe charges not only for money laundering but also for sexual misconduct. His defense team struggled to counteract the overwhelming evidence presented by prosecutors. In court, several women testified about their relationships with Balta, detailing how he had manipulated them into silence while pursuing his desires without regard for their well-being or safety. Some spoke about how he had promised them careers or financial support in exchange for their compliance with his advances. Just when it seemed like Balta's fate was sealed, an unexpected twist emerged during the trial. One of his former lovers, a prominent journalist named Zora, took the stand. Zora had once been enamored with Balta's charm and charisma, but later realized she had become just another pawn in his game. With poise and clarity, Zara recounted her experiences with Balta, how he had lured her into a relationship under false pretenses and then discarded her when she no longer served his purposes. Her testimony resonated deeply with many in the courtroom. It humanized the victims and painted a vivid picture of manipulation and betrayal. As Balta sat in the defendant's chair, facing potential years behind bars, he realized how far he had fallen from grace. The once respected minister now found himself at the center of national disgrace, a cautionary tale about power abused and trust betrayed. In prison, Balta began to reflect on his actions and their consequences. He contemplated how greed and lust had clouded his judgment and led him down a path of destruction, not just for himself but for countless others whose lives he had touched. While incarcerated, Balta found himself surrounded by individuals whose stories mirrored aspects of his own life, men who had similarly abused power or succumbed to temptation. In this environment devoid of privilege or status, he began attending rehabilitation programs designed for personal growth and accountability. Through these programs, Balta learned about empathy and responsibility. He started writing letters to some of the women he had wronged, apologizing for his behavior and acknowledging their pain. Although many were hesitant to respond at first, some eventually did, sharing their own journeys toward healing while expressing gratitude for his acknowledgement. The scandal prompted widespread calls for reform within the government as citizens demanded accountability from their leaders. Activists rallied for stricter regulations on public officials' conduct and greater transparency in government dealings. The outcry led to significant changes aimed at preventing such abuses of power in the future. New policies were implemented requiring mandatory ethics training for all government officials alongside